So we saw this year sort of kick off with some absolute dysfunction. So we saw what happened in March when the deadlines came and went, and then the government House leader quickly tried to scramble to get some legislation passed. And so when they realized that they had missed very important deadlines, which I must say, as a former teacher, I don't think she's going to forget those deadlines ever again. So what did they do? They came forward and they brought forward a BITSA bill, which is being debated as we speak. And they took those bills that they wanted to ram down Manitobans' throats and put them in as schedules at the back of BITSA, because BITSA, of course, gets passed at the end of session. And so there are 5 schedules at the back of BITSA that are going to be passed that never saw the light of day for Manitobans to come and participate in process, in the democratic process here in Manitoba, to come to committee, voice their opinions, either pro or against the various different legislations. We saw the expansion of government, over $40 million to 700 plus new bureaucrats brought in by this Kinew government, which then obviously we're seeing has not helped them a whole lot. And then of course we've seen their failed education policies. We've seen the fail on bail reform. Again, this was evidence that the Premier would absolutely say anything to Manitobans, to you Manitobans, to get elected. And so to you Manitobans, are you feeling safer today under the Kinew government than you did over a year ago? I know you're not, because we are receiving emails, and so are technically the NDP cabinet ministers and MLAs. Just some of them refuse to listen and to open up the emails and respond. They said they were going to freeze hydro rates. No, they've doubled down on that. They're putting it in legislation. And in addition to that, what are they doing? They're padding their own pockets. They're taking political subsidies, and they're more than doubling that to help with their own election coffers.
They're giving themselves the ability to raise hydro rates by 4% when hydro themselves only asked for 2% earlier this year, so double what hydro even asked for a few months ago. We are against the changes to the Income Tax Act that is clawing back the basic personal amount for Manitobans who earn an income over $200,000. This is a tax on doctors, engineers, small businesses, farmers, individuals that we're not only going to want to keep in Manitoba, but also recruit from other jurisdictions. As we've seen, this is a $24 billion omnibus bill with 5 schedules stapled on the back of it that have absolutely nothing to do with the budget. Manitobans deserve to have their say on these pieces, significant pieces of legislation. These are not just minor amendments that the NDP has made. These are standalone bills that the public should have their say in. So I'm looking into it right now and working with the House leader as to what changes can be made to ensure that in the future, Manitobans do get a say on non-budget bills in BITSA.
Just to be clear, the reason why it was added on to the back, as mentioned by our interim leader, is the deadlines were missed. It was pure incompetence, and then they add it and staple it onto the back of BITSA.
What do you say about this bill not proceeding now?
Well, to be very clear, it was part of our negotiations for the independent member, Cindy Lamrou, to bring this bill forward with our negotiations earlier this year. So we supported the bill all the way along. It's just sad that the NDP felt that they needed the credit for this bill. They forced the independent MLA to pull her bill off the order paper in order for theirs to go forward. I think that's fairly selfish. And yesterday I did ask for leave for Bill 41 to move forward because it is important legislation, but as well as 221 and 223. 223 is the Indigenous Veterans Day, and that could have gotten royal assent tonight and been in play for tomorrow, November 8th, which is Aboriginal Veterans Day.
And are you sure that she was forced, that the independent members bill, she was forced to withdraw it
for a bill to move forward that is that identical, for lack of a better term, you cannot have two bills on the order paper that are that identical. So yes, she had to remove hers for Bill 41, and the candy that they put out there was they'd allow her to second it.
She may have wanted to. She may have wanted
She was unaware of her having to remove her bill off the order paper until the bells were ringing just prior to going into the House. You can clarify and corroborate that with the member.
And the Long-Bladed Control Act was an important piece of legislation to put through for the safety of Manitobans and the safety of police officers and anybody who's out there on the streets facing the violence that comes from these. What I will add, though, is that during bill briefings as well as during committee on this, I brought forward some amendments that could have really strengthened this bill and made it more purposeful and protective of Manitobans. That was voted down by the NDP. They didn't seem to want to take any of my suggestions at committee, but I will mention that when I went for the bill briefing and I brought forward about the fact that there's now 3D printers and there's other ways other than metal to have a edged weapon or a weapon that can cause violence, they suddenly took that suggestion and put it into the bill as an amendment of their own. So I find it quite self-serving by the minister and by this government that they'll take selected pieces, but they won't take other areas that would really beef up the safety for Manitobans.
Thank you, everyone. Does anybody have any more questions before we go and answer the bell?
How long do you expect to be up in the legislature?
Sometime between right now, Ian, and the future. Thank you for your question, as usual. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.